They may knock on your door on a late stormy night. You may see them approaching your car while you're waiting at a longer than usual red light. They may seem like they need your help, or they might just be standing still for no reason. These children do not look immediately threatening. All they want is to come into your house to use the restroom or to have you give them a ride back home. But if you do, you'll suddenly notice a change. Something isn't right about these seemingly normal children. It's their eyes. They're pure black from lid to lid. Dead black orbs completely devoid of iris will send a chill down your spine, and it just might be the last thing you see. So, my advice? Don't let them in. Black-eyed children, or the black-eyed kids, is an urban legend, consisting of paranormal creatures that resemble children between the ages of as young as 6 and as old as 16. Every reported encounter with these creatures that I could find was coupled with the individual feeling of an overwhelming sense of dread and the feeling that death was near. These creatures with ghostly pale skin and black eyes have reportedly been seen hitchhiking or panhandling, or even at the doorsteps of unsuspecting residential homes. Dozens of these stories are constantly circulating on the internet, and I come across them from time to time on Reddit, and each time I find myself glued to my phone reading them. Apart from the blacked out eyes, these children typically appear completely normal. Sometimes their clothing may seem a little outdated, but apart from that, not much seems out of the ordinary. However, there have been a few cases where these creatures appeared with talon-like feet. Some sources claim that these children have existed since the 1980s. However, in my research, I couldn't find any record of their existence before 1996, when Texas reporter Brian Bethel wrote a story about 2 alleged encounters with the children. According to Brian, he encountered 2 children in Abilene, Texas with pale skin and black eyes. You can actually watch a retelling of his story from 2012 on the TV show Monsters and Mysteries. Some conspiracy theory groups believe that the children are actually aliens trying to reach out to people here on Earth, and on the other end of the spectrum, you have demonologists who believe that the children are children of the devil himself. And if you were to let these kids in, you are welcoming the devil himself into your life. One of the most detailed accounts happened when the children appeared in a snowy town in the middle of nowhere in Vermont. The home was owned by an elderly couple, and that night they were alerted to 3 loud knocks on the door. Upon opening the door, they saw 2 children, a young boy and girl, who immediately said, "Our parents will be here soon. May we come in?" The children refused to make eye contact with the couple, and they just stood in the doorway. The elderly couple was hesitant for a while, but eventually they did let the children in. The children got settled on the couch while the wife made them some hot chocolate. At this time, the husband began to ask them some questions, but they would all go unanswered. When the wife returned with the hot chocolate, she noticed that her cat was scared and angry with the children. When the children noticed this, they asked, "May we please use the restroom?" It was at this time that the wife looked at the kids and noticed their eyes were completely black. She directed the children to the restroom and then asked her husband if he had seen their eyes. At this time, she noticed her husband was holding his hands to his face, covering a very severe nosebleed. According to the story, it was at this time that the power went out and the children returned, and they only said 4 words to the couple: "Our parents are here." The kids quickly exited the home, leaving the door wide open. The wife followed them out and noticed 2 men at the end of the driveway. The men were very tall and slender. The wife waved at them, but did not receive any sort of response. The 2 men and the children then drove away together in the same car. After the kids left, the power came back on, and throughout the next week, the elderly couple would be tormented with weird and unexplainable things happening around them. 3 of their 4 cats went missing, and the 4th had been found dead in a pool of its own blood. The husband would continue to have nosebleeds, and he finally decided to go to the doctor, and at this time he was diagnosed with very aggressive skin cancer. So after reading several of these stories, I think I can safely say that the presence of these children in your lives is for one sole purpose: to cause as much destruction as possible and be able to walk away completely clear of their wrongdoings. Now, I have read a lot of stories over the years regarding the black-eyed children, but there was one that really got to me. And I think the story got to me so bad because, as an avid skeptic myself, the idea of going after proof of something that you convinced yourself didn't exist sounds exactly like the type of thing that I would do. Now, the person who submitted this story goes by Jake, And similar to me, he was also skeptical of the existence of the black-eyed children, but what he found would forever change his life. Now, this is what Jake had to say. So, black-eyed kids. The mere idea of them terrifies me. It didn't used to. In fact, I didn't understand what the big deal was. I don't know why. I mean, I read the online stories and articles about them just like everybody else, but I just didn't have that visceral reaction that so many other people did while reading about them. So I embarked on a quest. I'd show people just how unscary these things were, whatever they were. Who knew if black-eyed kids were even a real thing, and I'm the kind of person who needs to see it for myself. So I began to do a lot of research. I looked at paranormal sites, I watched YouTube videos on black-eyed kids, and from everything I gathered, they found you. You didn't find them. And it seemed like it was pretty much by chance if they did find you. So what was I to do? I came up with a plan. I began putting up an anonymous ad on Craigslist. It read, "Black-eyed kids, I'm not afraid of you. I want to meet you. 9 p.m. Wednesday. The park bench on the corner of 3rd and Washington. Show me why I'm wrong and why I should be afraid." The bench was only like a block from my apartment, so every Wednesday I would walk down there and see if anyone or anything came by. I usually wouldn't sit there. I'd stand back and watch. I'm not stupid. At the time, I may not have been afraid of the black-eyed kids, but I know the internet can attract some nuts. And it did occasionally. Nothing exciting enough to write about, though. Just a couple of pervs and some teenage kids joking around. So this went on for 6 months, and then I stopped posting the ad. The week I stopped, I got a knock on my door. I was sitting on my couch and it was a little after 9 p.m. I don't know how to explain it, but the second I heard that knock, my skin went ice cold. I don't need to get up. I knew who it was, and much to my surprise, I was terrified already. I was wrong about not being afraid of the black-eyed kids. The fear's on a different level. An instinctual, primal level. But still, I managed to get up and open the door. And yup, there was a kid. About 9 years old. Olive skin, dark hair, solid black eyes staring up at me. "Can I come in?" he said. I was speechless. After what seemed like an eternity, I responded with no, and I began to close the door. "We missed you at the park tonight," the boy said. I stopped closing the door. I looked at him with my mind racing. They've been watching me. The boy smiled up at me, and it took everything I had to make my arm move again, pushing the door closed and then locking it. As soon as I shut the door, I gasped for air. I hadn't been breathing. I sat back against my wall, facing the closed door, and then I heard it. 3 more knocks. He was still there, just waiting. It took me at least an hour to move from that spot, staring at the door. I didn't sleep that night or the night after that. Eventually, I collapsed with exhaustion at my desk at work, only to be awakened minutes later by a nightmare memory of that boy. It's been 6 months. I can't explain the fear that washes over your body when you see the eyes on these kids, and the state of your mind, the way your body wants to listen to what they're telling you and what they're asking. I thought if I told you my story, it would help me get over what happened and to warn others. I'm positive that these kids are evil, and the people they meet can't resist whatever power they wield. I don't think we will ever hear from those people. I now avoid that corner park bench with everything I have, and I won't tell anyone why. People think I'm crazy sometimes, walking 3 blocks out of the way just to make sure I don't go near it, but you'd be the same way if you went through what I did. Black-eyed children are nothing to mess with. So after hearing that story, I really want to know what you guys think. Do you guys believe in black-eyed children, or have you ever had any encounters with them? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below, because I think for now, for tonight, we're going to have to add the urban legend of the black-eyed children to our never-ending, always growing Tales from the Dark.